Everyone knows that if they've watched this show long enough, my father, 1953 graduate of the United States Naval Academy, Annapolis.
Let's go.
And lost him in 2015. He would, that movie Officer and a Gentleman, that was him. It could have been him. It could have been him. Gervy Alota, Captain, and also Commander Tyree Barnes. Good afternoon. How you guys doing?
Great, David.
Great.
Thank you guys for having us.
Paul Catalina, of course, Garrett Ross, Emery Winters here as well. The Navy and what it means, the military and your experiences and the decorations and all that beautiful looking, by the way, uniforms you're wearing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So what did it mean? What has it meant? And tell everybody about the Naval Academy and then the experience of being a part of the military and the Navy.
So for me, it started early. My parents were enlisted in the Navy, so as your father had that. So
yep.
And again, it led me to say that, hey, I want to be a part of something bigger than myself. So I grew up in Virginia, where the world's largest naval base is. I saw the planes around, I saw the ships around, but I went to the Naval Academy on a visit with my mother, and that was the only place I went. I went on my naval visit there, and I said, this is where I need to be. I need to be a part of this team. I need to be a part of something that is bigger than myself, and I know it's going to make me turn out to be a great man, which it has been. So my journey's been great so far.
Gervy?
Yeah, it's the same thing. I had a propensity to serve. My dad was also a chief in the Navy, immigrated from the Philippines, because I was blessed with the ability to play a little bit of football. That's what got me to Naval Academy. I wasn't the brightest, candle in the room, but I had the ability to play a little bit of football, and that's what brought me to serve in the Navy. And my original goal was to do 5 years and then get out, and I wanted to coach and teach. But, I love the Navy so much. 28 years later, I'm still serving.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
So, the cool things about it, like it's a hard job. Like you guys have not had an easy job at all, but there are a lot of cool things about it. Like, what would you tell someone who is on the fence about it?
Yeah, so the Navy is not easy, just like you said. It's hard, but if you ever want to do anything like significant in your life, it's gonna be hard, right? You're it's gonna take some risks. It's gonna take hard work, and it's gonna require you to kind of get yourself out of your comfort zone if you want to do something special. But the Navy offers so many different opportunities, whether it's on a submarine doing nuclear power, whether it's flying a jet or working on a jet engine, whether it's driving a surface ship, whether it's in the medical field or in the science occupation. There are just so many different opportunities within the Navy, whether it's STEM, whether it's Warrior Challenge. It could be physical attributes or it could be cerebral. The Navy offers it all.
And it is an experience. Annapolis, Maryland is, all the academies have incredible views or whatever. How would you describe walking around the campus of Annapolis?
It's amazing. Like I said, I fell in love. I had 4 visits scheduled after that visit to Annapolis, and I did not want to leave. So just being on the waterfront, just knowing absolutely when you set up, like when you get there, just knowing the type of men and women that have came through before you is amazing. You see the big, the statuesque buildings that you're going to be living in. You see the water, you see the sailboats, and you have to buy into that. You have to buy into that system, and you understand that, hey, I'm going to turn into a great leader when I leave this place.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about my plebe year when you're waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning and you're doing morning PT, and it's just a grind. It sucks, to be honest with you. But then you see the sun rise on the Severn, and you're like, okay, this is why I'm here. Yeah. This is the beauty of it all, and it's just like there's no more beautiful. I'm from San Diego, so I know beauty when I see it. Yeah. But Annapolis is absolutely gorgeous, and there's nothing like seeing that sun rising.
I missed the Super Bowl being held at Jack Murphy Stadium or Qualcomm or whatever. It's been a long time. And I remember just oh my God, it's a gorgeous scene with the ships and all the stuff you see across the bay.
Where is the favorite place that either of you have been stationed?
So you guys are.
So it's really easy for me because I've been in San Diego 25 years.
Okay.
Right. So I was born and raised, was able, because it's a large fleet concentration area.
Right.
I was able to stay in San Diego. I commanded all 3 ships in San Diego. My kids were born and raised in San Diego, and you just can't beat it, right? You can't beat the weather. So I would take San Diego in a heartbeat.
And mine is the Middle East. So I was fortunate enough to command 1 ship so far, and I was in Bahrain. So just right there, just immersing myself into that culture, just understanding Arabic and experiencing Ramadan, just the different cultures that are there. It was amazing. It's something that I would never have thought that I would got to do.
What is it like to command a ship, battleship, whatever it might be, anything? What's that power feel like?
So again, it is powerful. You have privilege and you have a high position, but you earn all of that to give back to your people, right? Like, you are nothing without your people, and if you are able to lift them up to your level and make them feel of value, you're going to have an amazing ship. Having that sense of responsibility and authority over all of them, their safety when you're out deployed, is a feeling like no other. I mean, I kind of relate it to being a head coach on a football team. Mm-hmm. They're the ones in between the lines, fighting the good fight, and you're there giving them the vision, the motivation, the inspiration to go do their job.
When you said, you just commanded the one ship so far, what was day one like for you?
Day one was a little daunting, right? So we do have a fleet up process. So you do get to be second in command for a while. Yeah. You get to understand the sailors. But I took the same mentality that Captain's alluding to. I related directly to football. So at the Naval Academy, when we broke down every huddle, we said team wins on 3. When I stood in front of my sailors day one, they knew my command philosophy was team wins, right? Every letter stood for something: trust, execution, accountability, motivation. It was no different. So for me, that coaching, that mentorship, I felt I owed it to my sailors at that point, right? I owed it to be the best leader I could be and to give them whatever they needed to break down any barrier they needed for success. Because at the end of the day, we're building war fighters. At the end of the day, we could potentially be at a war. So they need to get the best out of me so that I can get the best out of them.
We are located in Waco, Texas, which is in between Austin and Dallas. Your football coach, Brian Newberry, played at Baylor. Where Baylor University is, was a GA there for a little bit, and of course now, what a win!
Which one?
2 wins.
Which one?
Because you had a hell of a year, and then beating Oklahoma in the bowl
Absolutely.
game. But the game, and it was Army was had a great year. The 2 losses or whatever, and they were favored. And I remember. The run that Navy made for like almost a decade and a half where Army couldn't beat Navy. But what was that one like? Because Army was really, really highly ranked as well.
You ready, Dan?
Yeah, so I was at the game, and just seeing the look on the Army faces, like they kind of came in looking a little cocky, like they had it in the bag. And when we came out in the opening drive and took it down their throats and scored, it was amazing. So Horvath had an amazing year, and just seeing Army kind of struggle, and they were surprised and taken back because they've done that to us in previous years when we were the heavy favorites, and they were able to squeak it out. I mean, the tide turned on them, and I'm glad they got a taste of their own medicine.
What is it like for the cadets and the students, like the midshipmen at the school? When you're in that rivalry, like, as an alum, it's different.
Right, we wouldn't know because we're always on the field.
Okay,
right? But being a fan over these last several years, watching it, whether it's on the TV or whether it's at the stadium, it's their Super Bowl, right? And it's us versus them, and they're looking across. What other game is like that? Where they're looking at the entire student body of the opponent, of the hated opponent, and you're in their faces, constantly throughout the game. So it's a game within a game. Who can get more hype? Who can have the better chance and the better cheers? Who could dance the best, right? Who could be the loudest? So it's one of those sort of competitions inside of a bigger competition.
And how much is that week, especially like a reward for a very hard year of school for everybody? So, like, it's not like, look, I went to Florida State. We have the Florida game at the end of the year. But my days and your days were not the same. I can promise you that. Like, it feels to me like part of the aura around it is like, this is the week to celebrate kind of what you've accomplished over the year.
Yeah, Army Week is everything. And from day one when we show up as a midshipman, we walk down the hall, we make a right turn, we're yelling beat Army. We make a left turn, we're yelling beat Army. You look at a weight, it has beat and Army written on it. And that's from day one as the plebe. That's ingrained in your mind is beat Army. So you roll up to Army Week, even leading up to it, you know that we want to beat Army, right? Not necessarily just in football, every sport, water polo, sprint football, it doesn't matter. We want to beat Army, and we want to beat them bad in everything we do. So Army-Navy Week for football is amazing. And when you win that game, which I was fortunate enough to win all 4 years I was there, so I don't know what it's like to lose. But when you're there and you win that game, it is amazing. It is fun. It's what you strive for. It's what you've been doing since the day you showed up.
Yeah, and you said celebration. It's more of a celebration for the freshmen because it's their opportunity to have the freedom to get back at their upperclassmen. So that's all the games, the shenanigans that they're a part of, they're turning it on their upperclassmen.
Yeah. You mentioned the 4 o'clock PT, and I mean, just the what was more difficult early, the emotional or physical part of that?
For me, it was emotional. It was the mental, because I was from San Diego. I didn't have the humidity that they have in Annapolis. So, and then again, I'm away from my friends, away from my mom and my dad and my girlfriend.
All the way across the country.
Yeah, so again, the physical aspect as a football player, like, we could deal with all that, right? I couldn't deal with A, being alone, and then B, having someone yell at me who was like physically like it's superior to me, right? Like, I'm not having this little scrawny kid yell at me, to do more push-ups, or to march, with straighter legs, straighter arms, whatever the case may be. I had a hard time with people yelling at me, and I had a hard time, just being away from my family.
If that's the case, then how did you then, when you became in that position, did you learn from that on how you handled those that were serving for you?
Absolutely, right? It's about making sure people feel valued, making sure that you get the very most out of them. And, when people realize that they're cared about, that they're loved, they want to just do so much more for you. And those are one of the key lessons that I've learned in my leadership journey.
America's Navy. So tell everyone, go visit the campus. As you, Tyree, you mentioned, you fall in love with the campus. But if somebody is interested, there's a lot of different ways to get in touch, but tell us about, or give everyone an idea about the process.
Yeah, so ideally, right, so we're in an age now where technology runs the world. So Navy.com is going to be your ultimate resource, right? We can sit here and have this amazing conversation for 2 hours, and we wouldn't even crack the surface of what the Navy has to offer. So Navy.com is a resource for anybody, from guidance counselors to principals to teachers to the actual person that's thinking about joining the Navy. There's so many links, there's so many directions that it'll take you to, QR codes you can click on no matter where you are around the world. It's going to tell you exactly that first recruiting station you should go to, or exactly what interview process you put in to go to the Naval Academy or apply for ROTC. It's going to give you every wealth of knowledge that you could ever expect is right there at Navy.com. Secondarily, we do have on every social media hashtag America's Navy, right? So you find America's Navy, you put that hashtag in, and you're going to see, first of all, you're going to see this guy first, right? Because everybody in the Navy, every waterfighter in the Navy knows exactly who this person is sitting next to me. But you'll see that. You'll understand exactly what we do on a day-to-day basis and the great things that the Navy has to offer.
For those that don't understand some of the symbols or honors and medals and et cetera, explain those to everybody.
Yeah, so we both wear this pin. This is our warfighting pin. So we're surface warfare officers. We drive ships. We lead people. And we're responsible for, however many sailors are on board our ships. These are the medals that we've earned through our career. This is Command at Sea, Command Ashore, and this is stands that we're naval recruiters.
Okay.
That are winning with the wreath around.
So the wreath around, it means that we consistently have made recruiting numbers for at least 6 months.
What was the longest amount of time you were on a ship?
You mean without pulling back into port?
Yep.
So I did a 7-month deployment, and during that deployment, my very first one actually was a Somali, back when pirates were a thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we went about 3 months where we just were straight out. We had kind of, we did a little bit of fun while we were on there, but we did not pull into that second port until roughly 3-month mark on the back end.
You said we're a thing. That's not a thing anymore? Like, we've solved that problem?
We don't hear a lot about pirates, right? But that is not a problem that's been solved, right? We understand what's going on in the Straits of Hormuz. They take different techniques, right? We have people out there to ensure that the navigation is still free. Same with the South China Sea. So there's a lot that we're doing, and it starts with presence. It starts with us being there. So that deterrence factor has done a lot. So we don't see as much, we don't hear much about it. We don't read much about it because we have carriers all over the world, right? We have the amphibious ships over the world. We have people who understand that, hey, we might not want to mess with them right now.
Yeah. What is it like? I mean, again, like when you're a little kid and you dream about, like, you mentioned, like you start listing off all these careers, and it sounds like everything you want to do when you're 7 years old. Like fly a plane, drive a
Top Gun,
submarine.
All these movies that we grew up watching.
Yeah, all the cool stuff you can do in the Navy. Like, there's not a job. Like, you want to be a doctor, you can do it in the Navy. You want to be a lawyer, you can do it in the Navy. Have all the jobs. What was it like, getting behind the gear of the ship and, like, actually doing it, where, like, could you picture yourself as, like, a kid, like, doing that? Like,
so getting behind the rudder of a 700-foot ship is amazing, right? Like, just feeling that power and hearing the buzz of the engine is unlike anything you've ever experienced. But for me, like, the joy was getting down in the engine rooms. It was turning a wrench with these young sailors and asking them about their story, because these kids are so phenomenally bright nowadays. And, you know, the fact that they can like tear apart a diesel, that they can weld and lathe and, you know, be self-sustaining for 6-7 months at a time. These kids are brilliant, and just seeing them at that level, you know, working on my computer, you know, fixing my teeth, you know, you name it, they're doing it. Working on weapon systems. These kids are bright and brilliant, and just being able to watch them operate is just really is an amazing sight.
Creative problem solving.
Absolutely. That's exactly what they're doing.
What was more pressure, Fear Factor or Wheel of Fortune?
Whoa. So, Fear Factor was it was eating, right? So I can eat anything. I'm Filipino, and like our eating stunt was like bulot, like that live chicken egg. So I ate that without a heartbeat. Yeah. But Fear Factor with money on the line and just on the time limit, that was pressure for me.
So, what's Pat Sajak like?
He was awesome. So it was one of those things, like I made one of the top 50 clips, memories of that of the show. Yeah, like I got a clue within like 2 letters, and Pat came over, leaned over in front of me, and kind of was trying to see what I was looking at, and I gave him a locker room pat on the butt, and so that clip has made it. It's like in the history books. Yeah, he's great. Van is the same.
That last puzzle gives me hives sometimes when it's like RSTLNE, pick your letters, and it's just like N. And you're like, oh, great. Game's over.
You guys, first of all, we always say this, for serving our country, and it's awesome. And what you've done, Captain Commander, we appreciate what you guys continue to do, leading men out at sea or in different ways, as you mentioned, Navy.com. As simple as that. Thank you very much for your time. This is 365 Sports. We're at NFL Media Headquarters, New Orleans and Radio Row.